It started as brotherhood, but turned into a battle for power, money, and legacy. This is how Cameron, Jim Jones, and 50 Cent changed hip-hop forever. They built an empire together, and then watched it fall apart, all because of loyalty, ego, and one move from 50 Cent that changed everything. When Harlem ran the game, Dipset was untouchable until money got loud, egos got louder, and 50 Cent made his move. This is where everything changed. They called it family. But fame, money, and pride turned family into rivals. What really happened between Cameron, Jim Jones, and 50 Cent? Let's break it down. In hip-hop, loyalty gets you love, but strategy gets you legacy. And nobody learned that harder than Cameron, Jim Jones, and 50 Cent. What if I told you the biggest lesson in hip-hop history isn't about music, it's about power? This is the untold story of Dipset, loyalty, and the business moves that broke a brotherhood. For over 2 decades, money, music, and moves have kept things spinning in this game. And now, the truth behind one of hip-hop's most complicated relationships, Cameron, Jim Jones, and 50 Cent, is finally coming to light. Cameron recently spoke about what really went down behind the scenes, how a friendship turned into business, and how business eventually turned into tension. He explained that this was never just about rap or beef, it was about control, loyalty, and legacy. Back when Dipset ruled the streets, Cameron wasn't just a rapper. He was the engine behind a whole movement. Harlem had always been loud, proud, and stylish, but through Dipset, it found a new kind of voice. And at the center of it all was Cam, pushing his people forward every step of the way. He didn't just chase his own success. He made sure everyone around him had a lane too. Cam helped Jim Jones and Juelz Santana land record deals, got their music on mixtapes that ran the blocks from New York to Atlanta, and built a brand that felt bigger than any label could offer. To Harlem, Dipset wasn't just a rap group, it was culture, fashion, attitude, and ambition wrapped in pink fur coats and confidence. Cam once said, "I always wished Jim the best." He came a long way, from not even rapping to becoming my hype man, then an artist, then a video director. His hustle was unmatched. And that's real. Jim's evolution was the definition of grinding from the ground up. But behind that growth, there were cracks slowly forming. When money started coming in, so did egos, and the lines between friendship and business started to blur. Cam had built the foundation, but as everyone's fame rose, so did the need for credit, control, and recognition. At first, it was all love. They were brothers chasing the same dream. But when the fame hit, outside voices got louder. Managers, label executives, and street ties all started pulling the crew in different directions. Suddenly, what used to be simple became complicated. Every decision turned into a debate. Who owned what? Who deserved more? Who was really the face of Dipset? And while the crew wrestled with pride and power, other artists were studying the situation closely, none more than 50 Cent. While Dipset was arguing over royalties and respect, 50 was quietly building an empire. He moved from rap to television, from music to business, and showed the world that independence could be a weapon. He turned his brand into a blueprint, one that taught artists how to build ownership instead of waiting for validation. Meanwhile, Cameron started realizing something deeper. Loyalty alone doesn't build longevity. Love and brotherhood can start an empire, but only strategy can sustain it. He's admitted that some of the choices he made back then came from emotion, not logic. That when friendships mix with finances, pride can become poison. And that's what makes his story hit different now. He's not just calling out the mistakes, he's reflecting on how easily success can turn into a trap when emotions lead the business. What he's exposing isn't just the Dipset story, it's the pattern that's held countless artists back from owning what they've built. Because in this industry, loyalty gets you love, but strategy gets you legacy. The Dipset fallout wasn't just personal, it was public. Fans watched in real time as Cam and Jim's bond turned into silent tension, as interviews, lyrics, and rumors painted a picture of brothers turned rivals. And all the while, the world kept asking, what happened to Harlem's golden team? Cam had every reason to be proud. He'd taken a local crew and turned it into a global brand. But fame has a way of testing what's real. The pressure, the attention, the money, it all magnifies whatever cracks are already there. And soon, Dipset wasn't just about music anymore. It was about control, image, and legacy. Still, time has a way of teaching what pride won't. Looking back now, Cam's words carry a different kind of wisdom. He's not bitter, he's experienced. He's showing that survival in hip-hop isn't just about staying hot, it's about learning how to turn fame into foundation. He's reminding the next generation that you can have the biggest hits in the world, but if the business isn't right and egos aren't checked, the empire will collapse. Because what good is a legacy if you don't own it? Now, years later, both Cameron and Jim Jones seem to understand that. Their journeys have shown them that loyalty, money, and business have to move in sync, otherwise, one will always destroy the other. Cam's reflections hit harder because they come from scars, not stories. He lived the highs and the heartbreak, the trust and betrayal, the building and rebuilding. And through it all, he's still standing wiser, sharper, and more strategic than ever. Because in the end, the music never dies. The fans still blast the classics, the culture still remembers the movement. But what truly defines greatness isn't the moment you blow up, it's what you build after the smoke clears. And for Cam, that next chapter isn't about nostalgia. It's about ownership, about legacy, about teaching the ones coming up that real success isn't just about fame, it's about freedom. Looking back, Cam broke down just how long the Dipset run really lasted. We dropped our first mixtape in 2001, the album came out in 2003, and we split around 2007 or 2008, he said. That's 6, maybe 7 years. But what's crazy is the reunions, the arguments, the back and forth that's been going on for 15 years. The run itself was half that time. Even with all the ups and downs, the Dipset name still carries power. Fans still love the logo, the sound, and the energy that made Harlem proud. But behind that success was a lot of pressure, the kind that built legends, but also broke friendships. Cameron also revealed that people like Dame Dash tried to slow him down back then. Dame warned him not to rush into certain deals, telling him to be patient before moving with the Diplomats. But Cam wasn't built for waiting. He wanted to turn Dipset into something bigger than music, a brand, a movement, an empire. And in doing that, he changed the game, but it also created cracks in the foundation. Even when Dipset looked united in public, Cam said there was always tension simmering just below the surface. And just when it seemed like they might finally fix things, 50 Cent pulled a move that shifted everything again. It wasn't just a diss or a headline, it was a calculated power play that left Dipset scrambling. Cameron recalled being on probation when things first got heated. "My probation officer told me to come in, or I'd get locked up," he said. "When I got there, New York City intel was waiting. They asked me what was going on with me and 50 Cent. I told them it was just music. They said, well, it doesn't look like that. I told them straight, 50 puts people out of business. I had to respond. Even the officers agreed, saying, yeah, he really does." That's how serious the energy was. Even law enforcement could see it was more than just rap. When asked if things with Jim Jones could ever truly be fixed, Cam gave an honest answer. He compared the Diplomats to a family from the same projects, brothers who will always be connected, no matter what happens. But sometimes, even family needs distance to find peace. At the end of the day, the Dipset story is about more than music. It's about ambition, loyalty, timing, and how fast success can turn allies into rivals. Cameron built something legendary, but even legends come with lessons. Cameron isn't stuck looking back at the past, he's focused on what's next. He's talking about evolution, not nostalgia. New money, new moves, and a mindset built around growth instead of chasing the old spotlight. For him, the game has changed. It's not about who raps the hardest anymore, it's about who can turn their legacy into something that lasts. He broke down the business side of things too. Even with Jim, Cam said, "I didn't get him that first deal at Coke. I had my artist deal with Rockefeller, then went to Kevin Liles and Liar Cohen to lock in a joint venture for Jewels and the Diplomats album. But not everyone was happy about it. Dame Dash flipped out, telling executives not to make any deals with Cam. It caused tension before the ink even dried. Cam remembered sitting in those meetings, watching it all unfold. Kevin, one of the execs, shrugged and said, "I don't make money off albums anyway. I get paid a salary." That moment said it all for Cam. The hustle was personal. For them, it was just business. Still, through everything, Cam never wished Jim bad. He said, "I hope he wins. He came a long way. That's my brother. You got to understand, this was my man who couldn't even rap. He went from being my hype man to an artist, to directing videos. His hustle? Crazy." But Cam's recent interview hit deeper than fans expected. You could hear the honesty, the pride, the pain, the frustration, all in his tone. Fans called it one of the most real and emotional interviews he's ever done. And they're right. He wasn't venting, he was reflecting. Before we even get to the clip, People are already saying this moment changes the way they see the entire Dipset story. Because it's not just about two rappers falling out, it's about money, loyalty, and the heavy price of fame. Hip-hop has always tested brotherhood, and Dipset became a living example of how success can turn family into rivals. Cam isn't bitter. He's wiser. He's looking back at a 7-year run that built legends, and a 15-year feud that never really went away. "We dropped our first mixtape in 2001, he said. The album came in 2003. By 2007, maybe 2008, we broke up. That's a 6-7-year run. But the drama? That's been 15 years strong. 15 years of reunions, arguments, and back and forths, longer than the actual run. That kind of history shows what pride and money can do. When business stops matching friendship, brotherhood starts to fade." Cam's not blaming anyone. He's just being real, saying that ego and emotion can either build something timeless or destroy everything you worked for. He reminded everyone that he fought hard for the team, the deals, the mixtapes, the tours, the brand. Everything he built helped put Jim and Juelz in position to win. And Jim? He earned his place. He grinded from being a hype man in the background to a respected artist and businessman. Both of them had to learn how to survive when friendship couldn't keep up with ambition. These aren't just beef stories, they're lessons. Lessons about growth, hustle, and maturity. Both men took what they learned and turned it into power. They moved from chasing fame to building stability. And that's why Cam's words hit so different. He's not mourning the past, he's investing in the future. So many rappers get lost trying to relive their glory days, chasing old headlines until there's nothing left. That's how they end up bitter and broke. But Cameron? He's showing a new playbook: evolve, adapt, and keep building even when the crew splits. Because real power isn't about holding on to what was, it's about creating what's next. Even after all the drama, all the fallouts, and all the interviews, Cameron isn't out here stuck in the past. He's stacking new opportunities and proving that growth doesn't stop just because friendships do. He admitted that some of the tension between him and Jim Jones came from real moments that still sting a little today. Cam recalled a time when Jim did a show with 50 Cent. "I remember that," he said. The way 50 answered a question about it rubbed Jim the wrong way. He got heated and stayed that way for months. "But I wasn't trying to be messy. I was honestly wondering how he and 50 ended up working together while me, Jim, and Juelz weren't even seeing eye to eye. It wasn't hate, it was confusion." Still, the fallout lingered. "Even now, I guess he's still upset," Cam admitted. "But look, the disputes, the reunions, the back and forths, they've lasted 15 years. The actual Dipset run only lasted 7. So I don't know if it'll ever really go back to what it was." Jim has dropped diss records over the years, even recently, but Cam doesn't feed into it. "People send them to me, but I don't pay it no mind," he said. "This been going on since our friends in 2008. That's almost 2 decades of it. But I can't erase what was. No matter how things end, I'll always acknowledge what we built." That kind of honesty hits deep because it's not coming from anger anymore, it's coming from experience. And then there's 50 Cent, the man who changed the way music and business collide. 50's moves didn't just shake Dipset, they shook the entire industry. When he made his plays, it wasn't just about dropping hit records, it was about dominance. He ran G-Unit like a company, turning a street crew into a money-making empire. Music, films, liquor brands, TV shows, every move was strategy. He showed the world that power in hip-hop isn't just about bars, it's about ownership, timing, and business instincts. That's why when people mention 50's name, they talk about legacy and longevity, not just songs. He mastered the balance between artist and CEO, and in doing so, he rewrote the rules of the game. Cam's latest revelations are forcing fans to relook at Dipset's legacy with fresh eyes. Behind the pink fur coats, foreign cars, and chart-topping anthems, there was real tension. Brothers who started together, but grew apart when money and pride got in the mix. 17 years of disses, Cam said. "I don't care. Beans diss me too. It's whatever. At the end of the day, when the lights go out and the music stops, you can't erase history. But you can embrace what is." That statement says everything, because Cam knows what it's like to outgrow people without hating them. He compared it to what happened with Dame Dash and Jay-Z. "Some lines were crossed," he said. "It's not about beef. It's just about knowing when something can't go back to how it was." Back in the early 2000s, Dipset wasn't just a rap group, they were a movement. They shaped the sound, the fashion, and the attitude of an entire generation. From Harlem block parties to international stages, they shifted the culture. But what the fans didn't see was the quiet battle for control happening behind the scenes. Cam was the visionary, the one turning street fame into a brand. Jim, on the other hand, was building his own lane, managing artists and making moves outside the diplomat umbrella. That's where the cracks started to form. Then 50 Cent entered the picture and everything changed. He saw the cracks, the egos, the divided money, and he played it like chess. He didn't just rap better, he thought smarter. He watched other crews crumble and used those lessons to build an empire that could last. 50 Cent was out here building empires. TV shows, liquor brands, real estate deals, he wasn't chasing validation, he was chasing ownership. He showed everyone that independence was the real flex. You don't need label politics or fake loyalty to win, you need strategy. And the wild thing? Cameron gets it now. He's owning the mistakes he made, saying that sometimes he moved with emotion instead of strategy. That he let friendship mix too deep with business. That pride got in the way of progress. But what he's really doing now is exposing the industry's biggest secret, the formula that keeps artists from owning what they build. Because here's the truth, in hip-hop, loyalty might earn you love. But strategy? That earns you legacy. Cam and Jim's rivalry wasn't just personal, it was public. Messy. A front-row drama for millions to watch. Two Harlem icons who once rode for each other turned into silent rivals. And every new interview, every subliminal line, only made the fire burn hotter. Cam built Dipset from nothing. He was the brain behind the movement, the sound, the look, the Harlem energy. But once the fame hit, the noise started. Managers, execs, street connections, everybody whispering something different. And suddenly, questions turned into arguments. Who controls the money? Who owns the music? Who's really the face of Dipset? Those questions broke them down faster than any diss track ever could. Meanwhile, 50 Cent was sitting back, watching the chaos and learning from it. While Dipset argued, he executed. While they fought over royalties, he was locking in film deals, producing TV hits, and turning G-Unit into a global brand. 50 didn't just play the game, he changed it. And the coldest part? He didn't even have to attack. He let Dipset's internal drama do the damage while he stacked generational wealth. Now, years later, Cam's reflections sound like a warning to every young artist trying to blow up fast. Don't chase moments, build movements. Don't live off nostalgia, plan for longevity. Because in this game, loyalty fades, money talks, and the real power belongs to the one who can play both sides without losing himself in the process. At this point, it's bigger than beef. It's a reality check. Cam and Jim's story is a lesson that every artist should pay attention to. If your loyalty, business, and money don't move together, your team won't last. You can have all the hits in the world, but if the money's wrong and egos clash, your empire will crumble. Cam's not preaching theory, he's speaking from scars. He's lived the fame, the fallout, the broken trust, and now the rebuild. Because surviving in hip-hop isn't just about staying hot, it's about learning the business and protecting your legacy before it's too late. The music? That'll live forever. But greatness isn't about what you did back then. It's about what you build next. And it looks like Cam finally gets that. Maybe Jim does too. If they ever link up again, it won't be for the charts. It'll be for ownership, legacy, and respect. But what do you think? Can Cameron and Jim Jones ever rebuild, or are some bridges meant to stay burned? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.